Law 15,
Cool.
which is the frame matters more than the picture.
Ah, I like that.
You know, when I read that, I was just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is so true.
It's so powerful.
And it really applies to so many things in life.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I just wanted to kind of dig into this a little bit with you and kind of get your take on it.
Love it.
So Bartlett illustrates this law with kind of a personal anecdote about a clothing brand that he was obsessed with. And he talks about how, you know, he was really drawn to the brand's image, you know, the founder's artistic vision, this idea of exclusivity. And he was buying into this, you know, carefully crafted story. And then, bam, he sees this social media video that kind of pulls back the curtain and shows the brand's factory in China. Like mass production, you know?
Interesting.
And for Bartlett, it was like seeing the Wizard of Oz exposed.
Yeah, totally.
Like the carefully constructed frame was just like shattered and the perceived value just plummeted.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is it wasn't the fact that the clothes were made in China that bothered him. It was the jarring contrast between the story the brand was telling and then the reality that was revealed in that video.
I think that's what the kind of crux of what he's getting at is. You know, it's not necessarily about deception, but it's about realizing that the story, the frame, is ultimately what shapes our perception. And think about it, like, how many times does this apply to other things in life?
Totally.
Not just clothes.
Yeah. Like, remember the Pepsi challenge?
Oh, yeah, the Pepsi challenge.
You know, blind taste tests would often show that people actually preferred Pepsi over Coke. But then when the drinks were in branded containers, Coke would win.
Interesting.
So just the branding itself became part of the taste experience.
Yeah, so it's like the presentation is actually affecting the actual experience of the thing.
Totally. Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, how much of what we value is actually based on the presentation versus the actual thing itself.
Yeah, what is real. Yeah.
I know I've definitely fallen for that trap before.
Yeah, me too.
But the good news is Bartlett doesn't just point out the problem. He actually gives us ways to kind of use this knowledge to our advantage.
Okay, cool.
And he talks about how, for example, Apple has really mastered the art of framing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think about Apple stores.
It's an experience.
It is. It's not just about the products. It's the whole experience, right? It's the minimalist design, the space around each item.
A genius bar.
The genius bar. Even, it all contributes to this feeling of exclusivity.
Sophistication.
It's like they've turned shopping for electronics into going to an art gallery.
Totally. And you know what? It works.
Yeah, it does.
People are willing to pay a premium for that Apple experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And it goes beyond just the physical space, right? Think about their marketing.
Absolutely.
The sleek design, the carefully chosen language.
The simple.
The emphasis on innovation and simplicity.
Yes.
It all reinforces that frame that they've created. It's like they're not just selling you a phone. They're selling you a piece of the future.
A lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, Bartlett points out that this concept applies even when a product is all about simplicity.
Okay.
He uses the example of WOP.
Okay.
Which is this health monitoring wearable that he's invested in.
Gotcha.
And WOP is interesting because it actually intentionally lacks features.
That you might expect, like a screen or a time display.
Interesting.
And their thinking is that they don't want it to be seen as just another smartwatch.
I see.
It's like saying, this isn't about checking the time. This is about optimizing your health.
Interesting.
And by stripping away those common elements,
they
actually elevate W8 to something more specialized, more valuable.
More niche?
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
And it's a good reminder that more features don't always equal more value.
Totally.
Sometimes that strategic omission can be really powerful.
I like that.
And it's not just about products either.
Okay.
Bartlett talks about this B2B company that was struggling with sales.
Okay.
And he suggested that they just rebrand their sales team to a partnerships team.
Okay.
That's it. Just change the name.
Interesting.
And their sales skyrocketed.
Wow.
It just highlights how the language that we use can have such a dramatic impact on perception.
Totally.
Sales can feel pushy.
Yeah.
Partnership implies collaboration, shared goals. it's subtle, but it's incredibly effective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, we're not here to sell you something. We're here to help you succeed.
Yeah.
And then there's the Tesla example.
Oh, yeah.
They could have called their car seats synthetic leather,
right?
but they went with vegan leather.
Oh, that's smart.
Brilliant, right?
Yeah.
It's the same material,
right?
But vegan leather just has a certain cachet to it. You know, it aligns with ethical consumerism and sustainability trends.
Totally.
So it reframes the perception without changing the product itself.
Powerful.
And it all goes back to Bartlett's Law 15.
Yeah.
The frame matters more than the picture.
It really does.
And it's such a powerful reminder that we don't experience things in a vacuum.
Right.
Our perceptions are constantly being shaped by the context
of
the story.
The frame.
It's all about the frame.
So how do we use this knowledge to our advantage?
That's the question.
How can we make sure that we're framing things intentionally rather than just letting the frame be dictated by chance?
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things is to really understand your audience.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to reach?
Right.
What are their values? What kind of story is going to resonate with them?
That makes sense.
You wouldn't use the same frame to market a luxury car as you would to market a budget-friendly car.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about tailoring your message to the specific audience you're trying to connect with.
Yeah, and it's not just about what you say.
Right.
It's about how you say it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Tone of voice, the language you use, the visuals you choose.
The style.
The overall tone and style.
Yeah.
All of these elements contribute to the frame you're creating. So it's about being really intentional with every detail.
Yes.
It's kind of like setting the stage for a play.
Yeah.
You want the lighting, the costumes, the music, everything to work together.
To work together to create a certain...
To create a specific atmosphere, a specific mood.
Vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy.
And just like a playwright carefully crafts each scene to evoke a certain emotional response.
Right.
We can use framing to shape the way people perceive our ideas.
Absolutely.
Our products.
Even ourselves.
Yeah, even ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to know our audience. Be mindful of every detail. What else?
What else?
Bartlett also talks about the power of scarcity, right?
Yeah.
Like how Apple intentionally limits the number of products that they display in their stores.
Yes. Scarcity creates a sense of exclusivity.
Right.
And desirability. We tend to value things more when they're perceived as rare or hard to get.
Right.
Think about like limited edition products or exclusive experiences. Yeah. The scarcity factor makes them that much more appealing.
It's like that feeling of FOMO.
Yes.
You know, fear of missing out.
Exactly.
If everyone has it.
Yeah.
It's not as special.
It's not as cool.
But if it's limited or exclusive, suddenly it becomes more desirable.
Totally. And you can apply that principle to your own life.
Oh, really?
Even if you're not selling a product. Yeah. Like, think about how you manage your time.
Okay.
Your availability. If you're constantly available to everyone, your time might be perceived as less valuable.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
So by being more selective with our time and our energy, we're actually enhancing our perceived value.
I think so.
It's like creating a sense of scarcity around ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I think can be really valuable.
And it's not about being aloof or playing hard to get.
Right.
It's just about...
It's about valuing your time and being intentional about how you spend it.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So we've talked about audience, details, scarcity. Bartlett also emphasizes the importance of social proof. Right?
Yeah.
Like how testimonials and reviews can influence our perception of a product or service.
Huge.
Yeah. Social proof is so powerful.
It is.
We're way more likely to trust something.
Yes.
If we see that other people have had a positive experience with it.
Especially if it's people we trust.
Right, exactly.
Or people who are like us.
Think about how you choose a restaurant or a hotel.
Yeah.
You probably check the reviews first.
All the time, yeah.
I know I do.
Yeah.
I'm way more likely to try a place if it have like a bunch of 5-star reviews.
For sure.
It's like a shortcut to trust.
Totally.
We see that other people have had a good experience, so we just kind of assume.
Yeah. We're like, okay, it must be good.
That we will too.
Yeah.
And it applies to way more than just like consumer choices.
Right.
Think about like job applications.
Yeah.
If you have strong recommendations from previous employers.
Absolutely.
You're more likely to be seen as a qualified candidate.
For sure. Yeah.
So it's about building credibility through the experiences of others. It's like borrowing their trust and applying it to ourselves.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
It's a good way to put it.
So audience details, scarcity, the social proof. What else should we be thinking about when it comes to framing?
Well, I think one thing that Bartlett emphasizes is the importance of understanding the existing frame.
Oh.
What are the preconceived notions or biases that people already have about your idea or your product?
So it's like doing market research, but for perceptions, right?
Yeah.
You need to understand the existing narrative.
And the landscape.
Before you can start crafting your own.
Exactly. Once you understand the existing frame, you can then decide whether to reinforce it, challenge it, or completely reframe it.
That's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Like I remember Bartlett talking about how Tesla reframed the perception of electric cars.
Totally.
They didn't try to market them as just like eco-friendly or fuel efficient.
Right.
They positioned them as
high
performance, luxurious, desirable vehicles. Yeah. They completely flipped the script.
They did.
They took something that was seen as kind of like niche or even boring and made it cool and aspirational.
Yeah, aspirational and mainstream.
Yeah. And that's the power of understanding the existing frame and then strategically reframing it.
Yeah.
To create a more compelling narrative.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about presenting your idea in like the best possible light.
Right.
It's about understanding the context, the existing perceptions, and then crafting a frame that will resonate
with your audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all so fascinating.
I know, right?
It really makes you think about how much of our perception of the world is shaped by framing, both consciously and unconsciously.
Absolutely. And the more aware we are of this, the more empowered we become to actually shape our own narratives and create the impact that we desire.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah, where do we go?
How do we take all this knowledge and apply it to our own lives?
Right. Well, I think one of the most important things is to start paying attention to the frames that we encounter in our everyday lives.
Yeah.
Like, notice how different companies, brands, and individuals use framing to influence your perceptions.
So it's like becoming a student of framing.
Yes.
Observing how it's used in the real world so that we can start applying those techniques ourselves.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment.
Right.
Try different approaches. See what resonates with your audience.
So it's all about finding the frame that works best for you and your goals.
And remember, framing isn't about manipulation or deception.
Right.
It's about presenting your ideas in the most authentic
and compelling way possible.
It's about finding the story that will resonate with your audience and inspire them to take action.
Exactly. And that's a powerful skill to have in any area of life.
It really is.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest takeaway you want listeners to walk away with today?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the frame matters.
Yeah.
It matters more than we often realize.
It really does.
It shapes our perceptions, our choices, and our experiences.
And by becoming more aware of this, we can become more intentional about how we frame our own ideas.
Absolutely.
And create the impact that we desire.
Create the life we want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think this has given us all a lot to think about.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Thanks for sharing your insights.
Of course, it's been fun.
This has been another deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.